History is full of strange and unbelievable coincidences that leave us scratching our heads in amazement. In this video, we'll explore 15 of the weirdest coincidences that have ever occurred, from eerie similarities between complete strangers to chilling predictions that came true. Prepare to be astonished by these extraordinary tales of chance and fate. Number 1. The twin lives of Jim Lewis and Jim Springer. Jim Lewis and Jim Springer were identical twins who were separated at birth and adopted by different families in 1940. They were finally reunited at the age of 39, and upon meeting, they discovered a series of astounding coincidences in their lives. Both Jims had been named James by their adoptive parents, and both had grown up with dogs named Toy. Remarkably, both had married women named Linda, divorced, and then remarried women named Betty. They each had a son, one named James Allen, and the other named James Allen. Their careers also followed similar paths, with both men working in law enforcement, one as a security guard and the other as a deputy sheriff. The twins even shared the same hobbies, including carpentry and mechanical drawing. In addition to these striking similarities, both men smoked the same brand of cigarettes and drove the same make and model of car. Their medical histories were nearly identical as well, with both suffering from tension headaches and undergoing vasectomy operations. These astonishing coincidences prompted researchers to study the lives of the twins and the role of genetics and environment in shaping their lives. The case of Jim Lewis and Jim Springer became the foundation of the Minnesota Twins Study, a pioneering research project that aimed to better understand the influence of nature versus nurture on human development. The incredible parallels between the lives of these two men continue to fascinate scientists and the general public alike. The story of Jim Lewis and Jim Springer serves as a compelling reminder of the power of genetics and the mysterious ways in which our lives can intertwine even when separated by distance and circumstance. Number 2. The eerie connection between Edgar Allan Poe's novel and the wreck of the Titan. Edgar Allan Poe, the renowned American writer, is known for his dark and mysterious stories. One of his lesser-known works, however, has an eerie connection to a real-life maritime disaster that occurred years after his death. In 1838, Poe published a novel called The Narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym of Nantucket, which tells the story of a shipwreck and its survivors. In the novel, a ship called the Grampus encounters a horrific storm and ultimately sinks. 4 survivors manage to escape on a lifeboat, and in their desperation, they resort to cannibalism. The unfortunate victim is a young cabin boy named Richard Parker, who is killed and eaten by the remaining crew members. Now, fast forward 46 years to 1884, when a yacht named the Mignonette set sail from England to Australia. During the voyage, the Mignonette faced a disastrous storm and was ultimately wrecked. The 4 survivors found themselves adrift in a lifeboat with little to no provisions, mirroring the situation in Poe's novel. Faced with starvation, the survivors decided to draw lots to determine who would be sacrificed for the others' survival. The unfortunate chosen one was a young cabin boy named Richard Parker, eerily sharing the same name as the fictional character from Poe's story. The crew killed and ate Parker, and were later rescued by a passing ship. The chilling similarity between the events in Poe's novel and the real-life tragedy of the Mignonette sparked much discussion and debate. Some attributed the coincidence to mere chance, while others saw it as evidence of clairvoyance or prophetic abilities on the part of the author. Regardless of the explanation, the eerie connection between Edgar Allan Poe's fictional shipwreck and the real-life disaster of the Mignonette remains one of the strangest coincidences in literary and maritime history, leaving us to wonder about the mysterious forces that may govern our world. Number 3. The unlikely reunions of Dutch cyclist Maarten de Jonge. Maarten de Jonge, a Dutch professional cyclist, gained worldwide attention not for his sporting achievements, but for his incredible luck in avoiding 2 major aviation disasters. In 2014, de Jonge was scheduled to fly on 2 different flights that ended in tragedy, but in both instances he changed his plans at the last minute. The first incident occurred in March 2014 when de Jonge was booked on Malaysia Airlines Flight 370, which vanished without a trace while en route from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. In a twist of fate, De Jong decided to change his flight to one that departed a few hours earlier, unknowingly saving his own life. Just 4 months later, in July 2014, De Jong narrowly escaped disaster again. He was originally booked on Malaysia Airlines Flight 17, which was shot down over eastern Ukraine, killing all 298 people on board. However, De Jong opted to take a different flight to save money, once again avoiding a tragic end. The fact that De Jong twice evaded death by mere chance is an extraordinary coincidence that highlights the unpredictable nature of life. His story reminds us of the fragility of human existence and the role that fate or chance may play in our lives. Number 4. The Curse of King Tut's Tomb and the Titanic. The connection between the Titanic and King Tut's tomb may seem far-fetched at first, but the two events share an eerie link through a single passenger. In 1912, the luxury liner Titanic sank after hitting an iceberg, resulting in the loss of more than 1,500 lives. One of the passengers aboard the doomed ship was William Thomas Stead, a British journalist who had written a fictional story in 1886 titled How the Mail Steamer Went Down in Mid-Atlantic by a Survivor. In the story, Stead described a ship that sank after colliding with another vessel, eerily predicting the fate of the Titanic 26 years later. But the coincidences don't end there. In 1892, Stead published another story called The Curse of the Pharaohs, in which the opening of an Egyptian tomb leads to a series of deaths and disasters. This story foreshadowed the opening of King Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922, which many believed was cursed, as several people involved in the excavation faced untimely deaths or misfortune. William Thomas Stead's connection to both the Titanic disaster and the so-called Curse of King Tut's Tomb is an uncanny coincidence that continues to intrigue and mystify historians and enthusiasts alike, leaving us to ponder the strange threads that can connect seemingly unrelated events in history. Number 5. The striking similarities between JFK and Lincoln. John F. Kennedy and Abraham Lincoln, two of the most iconic presidents in American history, share a series of striking similarities and coincidences despite being separated by nearly a century. These uncanny parallels have left historians and conspiracy theorists alike wondering about the hidden connections that may exist between these two legendary figures. Both presidents were elected to office exactly 100 years apart, with Lincoln being elected in 1860 and Kennedy in 1960. They both faced significant challenges during their presidencies, with Lincoln grappling with the Civil War and Kennedy navigating the Cold War and the Cuban Missile Crisis. Both men were known for their strong support of civil rights, and tragically, both were assassinated while in office. Lincoln was shot by John Wilkes Booth in Ford's Theater on April 14, 1865, while Kennedy was killed by Lee Harvey Oswald in Dallas, Texas, on November 22, 1963. Both assassins were killed before they could be brought to trial, adding another layer of mystery to the connection between the two presidents. The similarities extend to their personal lives as well. Both presidents had 4 children, and they each lost a son during their time in the White House. Furthermore, Lincoln's secretary, who was named Kennedy, warned him not to go to the theater on the night he was assassinated, while Kennedy's secretary, named Lincoln, warned him not to go to Dallas. Another intriguing coincidence is the connection between their successors. Both vice presidents who assumed office after the assassinations were named Johnson. Andrew Johnson was born in 1808, while Lyndon B. Johnson was born in 1908, exactly 100 years apart. The astonishing parallels between the lives, careers, and deaths of JFK and Lincoln have led some to speculate about a cosmic connection or a hidden pattern in history. While it is difficult to draw any definitive conclusions from these coincidences, they remain a fascinating testament to the mysterious and unpredictable nature of life and history. Number 6. The Miss Unsinkable Coincidences, Violet Jessop. Violet Jessop, a stewardess and nurse, earned the nickname Miss Unsinkable due to her incredible luck in surviving 3 maritime disasters. Born in 1887, Jessop began working for the White Star Line, a prominent British shipping company in the early 20th century. Her first brush with disaster occurred in 1911 when she was aboard the RMS Olympic, which collided with the HMS Hawke. Although the Olympic suffered significant damage, it managed to return to port without sinking, and Jessup emerged unscathed. The following year, Jessup found herself on the ill-fated RMS Titanic, which struck an iceberg and sank in the North Atlantic. Despite the catastrophic loss of life, Jessup managed to secure a place on a lifeboat and was eventually rescued by the RMS Carpathia. Jessup's final maritime misfortune took place in 1916, while she was serving as a nurse aboard the HMHS Britannic during World War I. The Britannic, a sister ship of the Titanic, struck a mine and sank in the Aegean Sea. Once again, Jessup survived the disaster, escaping on a lifeboat and eventually being rescued by a nearby ship. Violet Jessup's astonishing ability to survive 3 major maritime disasters has earned her a unique place in history, and her story serves as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit in the face of adversity. Number 7. Mark Twain's Comet, Birth and Death. The famous American author Mark Twain, born Samuel Clemens in 1835, is known for his wit, humor, and keen observations of human nature. However, Twain's life is also marked by a remarkable coincidence involving a celestial event. Twain was born during the appearance of Halley's Comet, a celestial object that is visible from Earth approximately every 75 to 76 years. Throughout his life, Twain took a keen interest in the comet and even predicted that it would herald his death. In 1909, he famously stated, "I came in with Halley's Comet in 1835. It is coming again next year and I expect to go out with it." Amazingly, Twain's prediction came true. He passed away on April 21, 1910, just one day after Halley's Comet made its closest approach to Earth. The extraordinary timing of Twain's birth and death in relation to the appearance of the comet has intrigued generations of fans and admirers, serving as a poetic and mysterious footnote to the life of one of America's most beloved literary figures. Number 8. The separated twins who led parallel lives. The story of 2 identical twins, separated at birth and reunited later in life, is a fascinating study of the interplay between genetics and environment. Known as the Jim twins, James Arthur Springer and James Edward Lewis were born in 1940 and adopted by different families shortly after their birth. The twins grew up in separate households, completely unaware of each other's existence. In 1979, when they were 39 years old, they were finally reunited through the efforts of a curious adoptive parent and a local adoption agency. Upon meeting, they discovered a series of astonishing similarities in their lives, which seemed to defy the influence of their distinct upbringings. Both men had been named James by their adoptive parents and had grown up with dogs named Toy. They had each married women named Linda, only to divorce and then remarry women named Betty. They both had sons, one named James Allen and the other named James Allen. Their careers followed eerily similar paths, with both men working in law enforcement, one as a security guard and the other as a deputy sheriff. They even shared the same hobbies, such as carpentry and mechanical drawing. The twins' medical histories were nearly identical, with both suffering from tension headaches and having undergone vasectomy operations. They smoked the same brand of cigarettes and drove the same make and model of car. These striking similarities piqued the interest of researchers, who saw the Jim twins as a unique opportunity to study the role of genetics and environment in shaping human lives. The case formed the foundation of the Minnesota Twin Study, a groundbreaking research project that sought to better understand the influence of nature versus nurture on human development. The parallels between the lives of James Springer and James Lewis, from their personal choices to their medical histories, provide a compelling insight into the power of genetics. Their story also raises intriguing questions about the role of fate or chance in shaping our lives, as the twins' experiences seem to suggest that certain aspects of our lives may be predetermined by our genetic makeup. The Jim twins' extraordinary story continues to captivate scientists and the public alike, serving as a testament to the mysterious ways in which our lives can intertwine, even when separated by distance and circumstance. Number 9. The Murder That Predicted Itself. The Case of Émilie Sagy. Émilie Sagy, a 19th-century French teacher, was at the center of one of the most mysterious and inexplicable cases in paranormal history. Saji was said to have a doppelganger, or a ghostly double, that appeared and mimicked her actions in front of her students. In 1845, Sagi was employed at an exclusive girls' school in Latvia, where her strange story unfolded. Her doppelganger was witnessed by numerous students and staff, appearing beside or behind her, perfectly mirroring her movements. On one occasion, while Saji was writing on the blackboard, her double appeared in front of the class, imitating her actions. The most chilling incident, however, occurred when Sagi's doppelganger seemed to predict her own murder. One evening, as Sagi was leaving her classroom, she suddenly screamed and fell to the ground. Her students, who had been watching from the window, saw her double standing beside her, holding a knife. Moments later, Saji was discovered with a fatal stab wound. The mysterious case of Emily Sagi's doppelganger has never been satisfactorily explained, and it remains one of the most intriguing examples of unexplained phenomena in history. Her story challenges our understanding of reality and the nature of human existence, leaving us to wonder about the mysterious forces that may govern our world. Number 10. The 21-year curse of the silver screen. The untimely deaths of several prominent actors have led some to believe in a so-called 21-year curse that seems to haunt the silver screen. This eerie pattern began with silent film star Rudolph Valentino, who died suddenly in 1926 at the age of 31. Exactly 21 years later, in 1947, another famous actor, George Sanders, also passed away at 31. The pattern continued with the death of James Dean in 1955 at the age of 24, followed 21 years later by the death of Sal Mineo in 1976, also at the age of 24. The most famous instance of the curse came with the death of iconic actress Marilyn Monroe in 1962 at the age of 36, followed 21 years later by the death of her former husband, Joe DiMaggio, in 1983 at the age of 57. While the 21-year curse may be a mere coincidence or a product of selective attention, the pattern of untimely deaths among famous actors remains a chilling and mysterious phenomenon. The curse serves as a reminder of the fragile nature of life and the potentially hidden forces that may shape our destiny. Number 11. The reincarnation of Anne Frank, Barbro Karlin. The story of Barbro Karlin, a Swedish woman who claims to be the reincarnation of Anne Frank, is one of the most remarkable and controversial cases in the study of past life memories. Born in 1954, just 9 years after Anne Frank's death in a concentration camp, Karlin began to exhibit uncanny knowledge of Frank's life and experiences from a very young age. At the age of 2, Karlin started to share vivid memories of her previous life as Anne Frank, a Jewish teenager who went into hiding during the Holocaust and later died in the Bergen-Belsen concentration camp. Despite having no exposure to Frank's story or the events of the Holocaust, Karlin accurately recounted details about Frank's family, the secret annex where they hid, and their ultimate fate. In 1963, when Karlin was just 9 years old, her family took her on a trip to Amsterdam. Upon arriving at the Anne Frank house, Karlin was able to lead her parents directly to the entrance of the secret annex, even though it was not visible from the street. She also recognized several items in the house, including Anne Frank's handwriting and photographs of her family, and became visibly upset. Throughout her life, Karlin has faced skepticism and criticism from those who question the authenticity of her memories. However, she has also received support from notable figures such as Holocaust survivor and Anne Frank's cousin, Buddy Elias, who believed in the possibility of her connection to Anne. While the concept of reincarnation remains a subject of debate, the case of Barbro Karlin provides a compelling example of the unexplained phenomena that can emerge in the realm of human experience. Her story challenges our understanding of the nature of consciousness and the possibility of life beyond death, leaving us to ponder the mysteries of existence and the connections that may span multiple lifetimes. Number 12. Enzo Ferrari and Mesut Ozil, doppelgangers across time. The uncanny resemblance between Enzo Ferrari, the founder of the iconic Italian sports car manufacturer, and Mesut Ozil, a German professional footballer, has captured the imagination of people across the world. Despite being separated by decades and entirely different fields of expertise, the striking similarity between their facial features has led many to label them as doppelgangers across time. Enzo Ferrari was born in 1898 and passed away in 1988, while Mesut Ozil was born in 1988, the same year Ferrari died. This intriguing coincidence, combined with their almost identical appearance, has fueled speculation about a possible connection between the two men. While there is no concrete evidence to suggest a link between Ferrari and Ozil, the remarkable resemblance between them serves as a reminder of the fascinating ways in which unrelated individuals can share physical traits. The phenomenon of doppelgangers across time raises questions about the nature of coincidence, genetics, and the possibility of connections that transcend time and space. Number 13. The mysterious connection between Hoover Dam and the 63rd Academy Awards. The uncanny resemblance between Enzo Ferrari, the founder of the iconic Italian sports car manufacturer, and Mesut Ozil, a German professional footballer, has captured the imagination of people across the world. Despite being separated by decades and entirely different fields of expertise, the striking similarity between their facial features has led many to label them as doppelgangers across time. Enzo Ferrari was born in 1898 and passed away in 1988, while Mesut Ozil was born in 1988, the same year Ferrari died. This intriguing coincidence, combined with their almost identical appearance, has fueled speculation about a possible connection between the two men. While there is no concrete evidence to suggest a link between Ferrari and Ozil, the remarkable resemblance between them serves as a reminder of the fascinating ways in which unrelated individuals can share physical traits. The phenomenon of doppelgangers across time raises questions about the nature of coincidence, genetics, and the possibility of connections that transcend time and space. Number 14. The Deadly Double novel predicts Pearl Harbor. The surprise attack on Pearl Harbor by the Japanese on December 7, 1941, remains one of the most infamous events in American history. However, a chilling coincidence involving a novel published just months before the attack has led some to believe that the tragedy was eerily predicted in its pages. In 1941, American author Robert B. Stinnett published a novel titled The Deadly Double. The story revolves around a secret plot by a foreign power to launch a devastating attack against the United States. The cover of the novel features a pair of dice, with the numbers 12 and 7 prominently displayed, which some have interpreted as a reference to the date of the Pearl Harbor attack, 12/7. The plot of the novel bears several striking similarities to the events that unfolded at Pearl Harbor. The story's protagonist, U.S. Navy Commander Jerry Blaine, learns of a planned surprise attack on the U.S. fleet by a foreign power. As in the real-life events of Pearl Harbor, the novel's attack is executed using aircraft carriers, and it results in the destruction of numerous ships and the loss of thousands of lives. Stinnett, who was a former naval officer, insisted that his novel was purely a work of fiction and that any resemblance to actual events was coincidental. However, the chilling parallels between The Deadly Double and the Pearl Harbor attack have led some to question whether Stinnett had any prior knowledge of the impending assault. While there is no definitive evidence to support the idea that The Deadly Double was a prophetic warning, the uncanny similarities between the novel and the real-life events of Pearl Harbor serve as a powerful reminder of the mysterious and inexplicable ways in which life can imitate art. The coincidence also raises intriguing questions about the nature of fate, chance, and the hidden forces that may shape the course of human history. Number 15. The Unbelievable Luck of Roy Sullivan. Roy Sullivan, a former park ranger at Shenandoah National Park in Virginia, holds the dubious distinction of being struck by lightning more times than any other person in recorded history. Between 1942 and 1977, Sullivan was struck an astonishing 7 times, earning him the nickname Human Lightning Rod. The first lightning strike occurred in 1942, when Sullivan was hiding from a storm in a fire lookout tower. The lightning bolt struck the tower and traveled down to the ground, leaving him with a burnt leg. His second encounter with lightning took place in 1969 while driving his truck. The lightning bolt hit a tree, then jumped to his vehicle, setting his hair on fire. In 1970, the third lightning strike hit Sullivan as he stood in his front yard, searing his left shoulder. The fourth strike in 1972 occurred while he was working at the park, setting his hair on fire again and causing him to lose his eyebrows. In 1973, Sullivan was struck for the fifth time, this time injuring his ankle. The sixth strike in 1976 occurred when a lightning bolt hit a nearby power transformer and then jumped to him, leaving him with burns on his chest and stomach. Finally, the seventh and last strike in 1977 happened while Sullivan was fishing. Lightning struck the top of his head, traveled through his body, and exited through his lower leg, leaving him with severe burns. Despite the multiple lightning strikes, Roy Sullivan managed to survive each encounter, with only minor injuries in some cases. The odds of being struck by lightning 7 times are astronomically low, leading many to consider Sullivan's experiences as one of the most incredible coincidences in history. His extraordinary story serves as a testament to both the power of nature and the resilience of the human spirit, while also raising questions about the role of luck or fate in shaping our lives.